Hello, Namaskar. Welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. To become a subscriber, all you have to do is to press that red button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Would also really appreciate if you could like this video and share this video with your friends. All right, Jyoti Malhotra. Now, she's in judicial custody, and the courts will, of course, determine what happens to her eventually. But there is a strong probability that she might go into prison for a very, very long time. And therefore, the question which needs to be asked is that why would a young person like Jyoti Malhotra become a traitor to the country? And I'll tell you what is really odd about this case. Because in today's day and age, most young people I know, I've heard about, or I have read about, or whatever information which is there in the public domain, most, in fact, I would say practically all young people today are very, very patriotic. They're very nationalistic. And yet, then there comes across a person like Jyoti Malhotra who's a traitor. Why did she become a traitor? What made her go over to the Pakistani side? Why would she do that? I think it is important we dwell on these questions, and these questions need to be answered because it is a cautionary story. It is a cautionary story of overreach and unaccountability. It's a story which needs to be told, especially to young people, that guys, be careful. There are forces out there which are looking for you, which are looking to turn you against your own country. And why would a young person do that? I think we need to answer that question. And to answer that question, what I'm going to do today is to take all the information which is available in the public domain, which is there on the net about Jyoti Malhotra, and I'm going to sketch a personality profile, a psychological profile of Jyoti Malhotra to understand why she did, because then it becomes a cautionary story, a kind of a story to youngsters that be careful because there are very, very inimical, hostile, there are very dangerous forces out there who are looking to get you. That's the objective of this podcast. Now, let's start right at the beginning. There are some 3 or 4 very compelling things about Jyoti Malhotra when you first understand what she is all about. The fact of the matter is that she is a small town girl, which, of course, in some senses can be a huge asset in today's India, because today's India, if you look at it very, very closely, where do all the top cricketers come from? Where do all the top sports person come from? Where even all the IITians come from, where all the future managers of India are coming from? They're not even coming from the big cities. And why do I say that? Because what's happening in the big cities is that many, many youngsters are preferring to go abroad to pursue their studies, but youngsters from hinterland, youngsters from rural backgrounds, youngsters from small India, from the smaller cities, they have this fierce ambition to do something in life, to succeed, which is a great thing. And therefore, I'm contrasting, let's say, the ambition of, let's say, somebody like a Neeraj Chopra. The javelin, we are so proud of him. The country is proud of him. And then I want to bring in somebody like a Jyoti Malhotra. I'm not comparing the two of them. But what I'm trying to tell you is that both people come from a small town in Haryana. But why has Neeraj Chopra touched those levels which we all can only dream about? He's made us so proud. And then there is this somebody called Jyoti Malhotra we hang our heads in shame. Why is that? And the big difference is that somebody like a Neeraj Chopra, despite all the accolades, all the fame which he has earned in the Olympics, he keeps on practicing every day to better his records. He's not satisfied. He wants to better his record. Yes, he's ambitious, but his ambition is backed by hard work. And then if you want to make a comparison, then there is somebody like a Jyoti Malhotra, again from a small town, who also wants to make it big, who's also very ambitious, but she's not prepared to put in the hard work. She wants to take shortcuts to achieve fame, or rather infamy, I would say, in this case. And that is something we really need to keep in mind, that the youngsters who are coming from small town India, by and large, are very ambitious, they're very hardworking, they want to succeed at all costs, they want to sit on the same high table as the youngsters from the big cities, or who have succeeded before, all the youngsters who let's say, who have gone to Harvard or Oxford or the best colleges in Delhi University. They want to achieve all that, and they want to achieve it with their hard work. But there are also a microscopic entity, a small segment of people who do want to achieve all that, but without the hard work. They want to take shortcuts. They want to do what in Hindi we call jugaad. And that is what Jyoti Malhotra is all about. So if we are drawing a character sketch of Jyoti Malhotra, understand this: small town girl, but not the right kind of person, a person who wanted to take shortcuts to achieve her ambition. Number two, highly ambitious person. You can see that very, very clearly. A person who is extremely ambitious. If you watch some of our videos, which are already there available, they have been shown on newscasts. There, you can see them on YouTube, and you can see that this ambition to be recognized, to be feted, to be acknowledged, to be almost cherished by people is so strong in her. But what has she done to earn that? Is she, let's say, a scientist? Is she, let's say, a management person? Is she an academic? Is she a qualified person? She's none of that. She probably has very poor educational qualifications or a background, but she still wants to succeed. The only qualification, or the only thing which she has, is her media overreach ability. And there you have to give it to her that yes, she does have to some extent a kind of how would I say, a telegenic, pleasing personality. But look at the way she has misused it. So we need to keep in this mind there is also this microscopic segment of people, or maybe of youngsters, who know that they have a certain how would I put it? They have a certain captivating personality which looks good on television, which looks good on the screen, on your laptop screen, and they utilize that. They use that to achieve in shortcuts fame, ambition, whatever things they wanted were to, whether to get money or to get fame and recognition, as I have said. So not a qualified person, but the only qualification being that she understands the media. She talks maybe a little better than other people. She has a certain personality which she likes to project, and she used that shortcuts, short in that particular manner to achieve, or rather grab, all the things she has ever wanted in life. So that's the second point you need to remember. Now, let's come to the psychological profiling of such people. In the psychological profiling of such people, there is one characteristic, I would say, which I call the fatal flaw of that person, which makes that person, he or she, do absolutely things which are anti-social, maybe, which go against the rule of law, which are not sanctioned by society. The concept of fatal flaw is actually, if you think about it, is a Shakespearean concept. And if you have ever read Shakespeare, the tragedies of Shakespeare, then all the great heroes, or rather the heroes who fell and who bit the dust, they all had a fatal flaw. Somebody like a Shakespearean king, like Macbeth, for instance, he had a fatal flaw. Similarly, Jyoti Malhotra, she's not some king or anything, but she's a commoner. But she also has a fatal flaw, and a fatal flaw being that she has this huge desire to be recognized, this ambition to be feted, to be, to be the cynosure of people's eyes, to be cherished by people. See all the videos when she's in Pakistan. There is a video of her where she is walking at a train station in Pakistan, and she's wearing some kind of a turbanish cap or something. And look at the way she's jauntily walking as if she owns the place. This is somebody who is behaving like a queen bee. She's at that railway station. She is that everybody is watching me. Everybody's saying, "Oh wow, what a person!" This concept of the queen bee concept of to be cherished, to be feted, to be recognized by all and sundry. I am the master of whatever I survey. This mentality, this psychological force which is driving you, that is the chink in the armor. That is the great fatal flaw which people like this have, which makes them do completely crazy, stupid things. Okay. And then, along with this fatal flaw, there is another big problem which she has, which again, this is the psychological profiling which I am piecing together of Jyoti Malhotra, that there are people in this world, and she's certainly one of them, who like to deliberately play with danger. There are people who walk the edge all the time. The people who are constantly walking the edge between crossing between what is lawful and what is unlawful. People who are constantly doing what is called hopscotch, I call it. Skipping on one side, then coming back on the other side, skipping on one side, and then coming back again. Jyoti Malhotra probably like to do that, playing hopscotch with the law, because I cannot for the life of me believe that she did not know what she was doing and what it really meant, which means that fraternizing with the Pakistanis, and the videos are all there for you to see. There were 5 or 6 of those Pakistani guards with AK-47s, obviously provided by the ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence, the intelligence agency of Pakistan. She was always surrounded by such people. And then all her meetings with the Pakistani staffer from the High Commission in Delhi. Openly meeting, and there are rumors of probably an affair with the same person. She knew the consequences. It was not that she did not know the consequences. She knew what it would all entail, to what it meant. It would mean that she would be branded a traitor. And yet, she chose to take that option. And that's what I'm saying. This is the major kink which she has. This is the fatal flaw of Jyoti Malhotra. She knew that she had crossed the line. She knew that to achieve all this, she would have to turn traitor. She knew all this, and yet she chose this option because people like that, they have what is called a psychological problem, that they like to play with danger. They like to play with fire right up till the end. And this is what she was saying. There's something very interesting which has, by the way, emerged. Not too many details have come out from the interrogations which have happened, which is obviously correct also. But there is somewhere, I think I read somewhere, that she was in the initial phase of the interrogation with our agencies. She told our agencies that you have no right to detain me, whereas this is my freedom for information. I can say and do whatever I please. I mean, this is what was coming out in the public domain. I don't know how far that is true, but if it is true, then it tells you, and then it tells you exactly the personality and the psychological profiling of such a person who likes to play with danger, who till the end is convinced that he or she is absolutely right in what they do. They have done nothing wrong. There is no sense of repentance. There is no sense of redemption. There is no sense of that I have done a mistake. I have done a horrible mistake, which is going to cost me, probably my freedom. Nothing of that sort, at least so far, is visible at all. So need to keep this in mind, that people of such mental makeup, they are not only a danger to society, but they are actually a danger to themselves. Now, let me now take your attention and to what I call the spy game, which is practiced between India and Pakistan. And we need to understand some of the dimensions of the spy game. And maybe I'm a bit of a position to talk about that, not because I have a background in intelligence or anything, but because I'm an author and I've written 6 books, and most of them are about spycraft and about geopolitical thrillers. So I think I know a little bit about that. Plus, also my earlier days as a television correspondent, especially, I used to keep going to Kashmir very frequently, so I do know a little bit about these things. Now, how does, let's say, a spy from the other side recruit you? Now, that is very, very important. There are some of the very age-old tools which they deploy to recruit somebody like a Jyoti Malhotra. We need to understand that to understand why Jyoti Malhotra did what she did. The obvious reasons, of course, are money, that there is a money which plays a central role. You are given monies for all the services or all the intelligence which you share with these, with your handlers. They are called handlers, people at the other side who are controlling you. Now, these people who are controlling you usually are charming people, because now it appears, and we have already seen the videos, that the handler of Jyoti Malhotra was the staffer in the Pakistani High Commission in Delhi. And if you look at the profile of the man, well, he's charming to that extent, in the sense he looks, kind of a handsome man. And if the rumors are true, I don't know how far they are true, but she had an affair with this man. She was all prepared to become his second wife, or those are things which are going around. So the classic case of a honey trap, of money. These are the two, of course, most common things, monetary benefit. But I think in Jyoti Malhotra's case, there were other things also. This lure of free trips, this lure of literally leading a business class kind of life. Business class kind of life, what I mean is that when we travel internationally, we travel either by economy or by business. Very few people I know travel by first class. You leave that to the Amitabh Bachchans of the world. So a business class kind of living, that means you go to these countries, you are staying in the best of hotels, the best of services are given to you, all your meals, all your accommodation, all your expenses, your shopping, everything is taken care of. Okay, it's on the tab. It's on the tab of the ISI. And therefore, that's a big lure for many of these people. And then also remember, what I told you earlier, small town girl lands up in a city like Lahore. She goes to the railway station, see those videos, she's walking around jauntily as if she owns the place. Everybody is looking at her. There are people who are serenading her, the people who are saying, wah, wah, kya baat hai. And it goes to your head. It goes to your head, it plays with your mind, where you actually start believing that you are a superior person. You are a person of a very different disposition. That's why these people are coming to you, little realizing that they all have an agenda. And I'll talk of that agenda a little later. And therefore, this, what in Hindi we call bhav, which is given, or the sense of importance which is given to you, these are the common tactics. These are the in the quiver. These are the arrows in the quiver of the intelligence agent, especially from the enemy side. They use that, and they can turn anyone's head with that. Now, in the old days, what these people used to do, that is the handlers, they have done, it's not that the spying game, it has only started with Jyoti Malhotra now, as she has been their first recruit. This has been going on for decades and decades. In the old days, the people who were recruited were basically government servants, scientists, defense personnel. But if you notice carefully, all people who were not very visible in the public. They would especially target defense personnel, especially in the border areas, maybe scientists also. If you remember that famous case of the Indian Foreign Service lady who was also caught by our agencies, but people who were usually work behind the scenes. But today, the entire spying game has changed. Those recruitments probably still go on, you know. But what is more important right now for the handler today is to recruit people who actually are very, very prominent in society, because these are the people they need. These are the media influencers they need, because they today have the sizable hold on a section of our society. And through them, these people then spread their message. They spread their interest in the larger public. And that is why someday like a Jyoti Malhotra would come in. She probably had, on her YouTube handles, maybe a viewership of around 4.5 or 5 lakhs, which is not very big, but it's not very small either. It's fairly big. But then what she had, the biggest thing was she had the potential to grow into someone really huge, the potential to spread Pakistan's insidious message, their nefarious message, more into larger groups, into maybe targeted groups, into targeted communities. Who knows? I mean, sky was a limit. Because if you see, Jyoti Malhotra was a willing accomplice. And it doesn't appear anywhere from the videos, at least, that she was under duress or she was under coercion or she was doing this not out of her own volition, as it is called. She was doing it completely. She was loving it, actually. Let's put it in the right way. She was loving this entire experience, the attention that was being showered on her, and therefore today, the game has changed where you are recruiting people who are right in the thick, who are recognized by everybody, people who are there, who are influencing society. This is the new game in town, and that is why it becomes even more important that the message, the right messages are given to our youngsters today. That guys, that there are people out there, they are looking for people, who have suddenly made it very big. Because please remember, at the end of the day, if you take all the top celebrities, you take a Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan, all these big people, but give them credit. They've all risen there because of their hard work. But today, somebody, a media influencer like a Jyoti Malhotra, comes out of nowhere, small town girl, and suddenly she's right there in the middle of everybody's talking about her. She's the talk of town, as they say. And that becomes dangerous because there is nothing at the background to show that how quickly and how fast you have risen. These are the exactly the kind of people that the handlers, the spy agencies from enemy countries are always targeting. And especially media influencers from border areas. That also you need to remember. That also the kind of indoctrination which has been, by the way, going on in our border areas for a very long time. And why do we now get reports on daily reports that so many spies have been picked up from, let's say, from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, even from Delhi, all states which are to that extent in proximity to to Pakistan. The reason for that is because this indoctrination has been going on for a number of years across various through people. These are either the hidden assets or the assets of these spy agencies, which are now operating in the open. And the idea really being to convert people to a different kind of a thinking. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. I'll give you a very interesting example, something which happened very recently to tell you that how far this rot has spread. If you remember, during Operation Sindhur, when the Golden Temple was targeted, and we all know that that fact has been completely established that Pakistani missiles were aimed towards the Golden Temple, and it was only the fantastic defensive systems of India which prevented something going wrong at the Golden Temple. But has anyone followed on the story that was there a reaction from the SGPC to thank the Indian forces and say that you saved us, you saved the Golden Temple, you saved probably one of the most prominent temples in India from destruction? Nothing. In fact, some of the SGPC members have been saying, "Oh, we are not very sure of that. This is true. Particularly, we were never targeted." Some people have actually gone on record to say that, and that is why I'm saying that in the border states, the level of indoctrination, which has been very subtly going on for a long time, has been going on and on. And that is why this becomes really dangerous. And that's why I'm saying media influencers, youngsters today, they have to play a very critical role. Some of them can be turned by these spy agencies to carry out all these nefarious deeds. And therefore, let me also then, in conclusion, say a couple of things, not only because Jyoti Malhotra, now we have understood where she came from, why she did what she did. But the cautionary tale is not about Jyoti Malhotra alone. It is about a media at large. And why do I say that? If you remember the famous case, and I'm not going to name the journalist, but you all know that the famous case of that journalist who was supposed to have a list of cabinet ministers in her hand. She was supposed to be deciding or at least giving her views or influencing uh, the installment of certain cabinet ministers in the cabinet sometime back. You remember that famous case. Why do these things happen? Why is it that some journalists, and I have been a journalist and I know and I'm what I'm talking about, some journalists when you meet, they will actually tell you, and not when they are drunk or they have consumed three stiff ones. They are saying it when they are completely sober. Oh, but we influence the prime minister, we influence the finance minister. Our proximity is so great that we do that. Why do some journalists do that? Because people by and large cannot handle whatever fame, adulation, short term fame, adulation that comes their way, and therefore it makes them go berserk. And that's the big problem. You know, when you're in the limelight, this feeling grows in you that you are omnipotent, that you can get away with anything, you can do anything, you can actually skirt danger all the time. As I said, living dangerously. That is what Jyoti Malhotra was saying. And that is why I am extending that beyond to even media persons today. When some media persons believe that they are so close to the powers to be in the government that they can do anything, say anything, or get away with anything. But please remember, we are all today living in a time and age when the more open society becomes, the more we have access to information, we have access to all kinds of screens, we see everything what's going on. But at the same time, we are also, practically all of us are under scrutiny also at the same time. Nothing is escapes detection, as it were. There is somebody out there who already knows what you are capable of or what you are doing. And therefore, we live in these very strange times. And therefore, all the more reason we should be careful, we should be guided, we should be restrained in our behavior, because unrestrained behavior, be that of a Jyoti Malhotra who became a traitor, who became an enemy to our own people, or for that matter, even I would say media persons who behave in this completely obnoxious manner, where power and the sense of that, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm move around in top circles and therefore I can say and do anything and get away with anything. That kind of headstrong behavior, that is a recipe for disaster. We live in very strange, very subtle, very unpredictable times. This is the state of affairs today, and therefore, all the more reason we need to be careful. Need to keep our heads down, be restrained and sober in our behaviors. But obviously, that lesson was lost on Jyoti Malhotra, and therefore, you have a Jyoti Malhotra, enemy to her people, an enemy to her own country. And so, on this note, I come to the end of this podcast. I hope you really liked it. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.